Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Nedling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I'm very excited to have with me Emily Jackson. And let me tell you about Emily. She is a senior channel management with RF Ideas, Inc. Her experience and background spans from the fitness industry, aviation, IT distribution, and IT vendor channel sales. Being in these customer-focused industries has led Emily to learn how to utilize her people skills to set up partners with success and provide best possible customer service. She also is a strong advocate for women in sales and leadership positions and strives to encourage women to eliminate self-doubt and reach their full potential. So today, I thought we'd talk about a subject that I don't think we really have talked about very much. And from my days of being at corporate, I thought this would be a great one. Channel management, the challenges, opportunities, and growth. So please join me in welcoming my guest, Emily Jackson.
Thank you,
Emily.
Vicki. Great to be here. I appreciate your time today.
Oh, no problem. I just think this is a great topic. A lot of people don't think about it, but it's really kind of important to you for your success of your business, especially if you're trying to scale. The audience, though, out there, we do have a lot of people that are mostly entrepreneurs, but we do have, as I try to focus and target women that are in any industry that are trying to stand out, to show up, and to have people take notice. So I think that your insights will be very helpful to them. And I was very happy that you were aligned with the whole theme of getting women to take on leadership roles. I think that that's going to be the change of leadership if we start to, as I said, step up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm so passionate about, empowering women and really the reason for that is because I did not feel empowered for so long. And I felt that, I didn't have a voice and honestly, it was just pressure that I was putting on myself. I don't even think that it was outside pressure, but for so long, I just didn't feel like I really had control of my story, my career path, and over the last, several years, I've started to gain that control essentially through self-leadership, through mentors and networking, and just seeing all of the strong women, female leaders out there, and whether it's entrepreneurial or corporate. So it's just wonderful to see like so many women that are just feeling empowered. They're leaders without even probably knowing that they're leaders. And it's just so inspirational. And I think we can all find, strength in that because when you see it, you know that it's possible for you as well. So that's a really powerful thing.
It was interesting for me. I had that feeling of self-doubt for years and years and years. And I worked for my last job, what I spent 27 years at. It was mostly a male-dominated leadership for many, many years. And, they were always trying to fit you into that mold of male leadership, that masculine energy. And it just didn't work for me. It was different than I found success in leadership. And having that blend of masculine and feminine energy. But I went to college just in my late 40s, just because they said, well, we can't promote you because everybody else, has a degree and all this.
Mhm.
And it was when I went back to school in my late 40s that I saw I actually knew quite a lot because of
Yeah.
all the years of almost at that point 30 years of working, that I had gained a whole lot, plus the
Mhm.
time as a mom.
Mhm.
Mothers forget about all the leadership skills that they possess to
Gosh.
do that job.
Yeah.
And so it just got to the point then it's like, well, I don't care what everybody is saying. I'm just going to do it me. And
Mhm.
that's when things changed, whenever I decided to be authentically me.
Right. It probably made you more confident to be bold in your decisions and
Mhm.
just on your day-to-day work life. I think that's definitely, I love that you said that, Vicky, because that's something I struggled with too. Before I was in any type of leadership role at all, I really just thought that, oh, I've got to basically be just like the men in the leadership role, because yes, that's all I was seeing in the fitness field when I was in that
Yeah.
was men in those roles. And I thought, okay, if I just, don't show any emotions, don't mention anything that like typically females like to do, baking and sewing, and okay, don't mention anything like that. Talk about sports. I don't really have much interest in sports for the most part, but I was trying to learn all these things about sports so I could have something to talk about. And not saying that you shouldn't do that at all. You should find commonalities, but you don't have to change who you are. And at first, that's what I
Mhm.
was trying to do. I was trying
Yeah.
to like mold myself to be someone that I'm not really. And just like you were saying, once I started not to do that and just be me, that's when I had the most success. And that's when I felt better personally as well. Like, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm doing what I should be doing because now I'm actually me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of times you have to step back and realize that you're doing that. I don't think I realized I was doing that for a long time. I just thought, oh, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing by kind of being like the men
Mhm.
in the leadership roles. But when you take a step back and look at it, you think, oh, that's not really me. Why was I pretending to do it that way? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
So we usually start out with two easy questions. And the first is just tell everybody, where do you live? Where do you call home right now?
Yeah, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh.
I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, so sometimes you might hear a little bit of a Southern accent here and there. That is not an Ohioan accent. There's no accents for Ohioans,
No.
but yeah, so you might hear that sometimes. But I've been married for almost 10 years, and my husband is from Cincinnati, so that's what brought me here.
Yeah. I'm originally from Pittsburgh. So
Oh, okay. Yeah,
across
not
the
not too
across
far.
the way. Yeah,
Yep.
across the way. And the second question is, and you started to go into this, so just expand, share your journey, that moment, that pivotal moment that said, this is what I need to do, and really why you needed to do it.
Right. Yeah. So, as you kind of mentioned in the intro, I've really had a varied background, in my professional career. I started out in the fitness industry and honestly was there for about 7 years, because in college, I was one of those people who I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure, what I was good at or what I was passionate about. But I've always loved to work out. I love fitness and health related things. So I thought, okay, I'll go into the fitness industry. And while I did enjoy that industry for,
Mm,
a good amount of time, obviously I was in it for, 7 years, but about 5 years in, I just couldn't envision where my future would go career path wise. And I'm a very determined person and I'm a very goal oriented person. And I really didn't see where the next steps would be possible for me there. So knew I needed to make a change, but I wasn't sure how to go about that, what that would even be, because again, I struggled with self-doubt. So I thought,
right.
I'm not good with anything. I'm not talented at anything. What do I do? So I really focused on self-reflection and kind of getting to know myself, my strengths, my weaknesses, my transferable
Mm,
skills. and learning more about myself to then say, okay, I could go into this career path and succeed. And that led me to the aviation industry. Unfortunately, with that industry, I was only there for about a year and a half because the pandemic hit and I had lost my
Oh,
job. There was,
oh,
that industry in particular was definitely
yeah.
struggling during that time. But it turned out for the best because that led me to the tech industry. So I was in the distribution side on the tech industry at first. And again, looking at my skills, my background, it seems like, oh, fitness and tech, like that doesn't go together. But really, it's all about who you are and what you're capable of and your confidence level. You can learn any type of career path, right? You
Mm,
can learn
mm,
anything if you really put your mind to it. And then that led me to where I am now at RF Ideas. And so I'm a senior channel manager there. And so I manage our partnership relationships with distribution and our reseller partners that sell to our end customers.
yeah, awesome. I think that the thread though that, connects everything is that you have strong people skills and
Mm,
you
yeah.
really you can tell that you have uh, continued to hone your emotional intelligence and your empathy and that makes you really a great person as a channel manager.
Mhm.
You're building those relationships first so that those people trust you and it's easy to be a partner with that kind of person.
Mhm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what it's all about. Any type of customer industry. So you kind of mentioned like entrepreneurials. A lot of your listeners are. It's the exact same concept. If you're in
Yeah.
corporate or if you're an entrepreneur, you've got customers, right? So you've
Yeah.
got to be customer focused. So like you said, relationship building is the key. If you can learn how to confidently and appropriately build relationships with your customers and build that trust, that's going to grow your business organically, whether it's corporate or, your own business. So that's something that I've definitely, had to hone in on and get better and better at. And what's funny and interesting is that I am an introvert. So I'm not
Mm,
someone who
me
is
too.
the life of the party, bubbly out there in conversations. So it's so interesting that I ended up in this very customer focused
Yeah.
role because I never would have thought that I'd be good at that. Well, quiet people can't be good at that, but that's not true because I'm able to listen really well. I'm able to really build deeper relationships because I'm not always talking, I guess you could say.
Yes, that's right.
So it really has made my customer relationships even better than if I was that outgoing person. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think we become more of the observer and
mm,
we take a lot in before we say something.
right.
And that makes usually what we say a little bit more impactful.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, so let's get into the heart of this. And thank you for sharing your journey.
Of course.
As I mentioned, not everybody knows about channel management. You kind of touched on the definition,
Mhm.
but in your journey as a channel management, what is really something that you discovered that you didn't know about channel management?
Oh gosh, when I got into it, I didn't know anything about channel management, completely clueless. And the way that, the tech industry works with it, it's just a lot more complex and a lot more hands in the cookie jar than I would have thought. You think of when you're at, like, let's say a retail environment, you think of, oh, they probably just buy all of the computers and point of sale systems online, and then you don't really think about like all the little
Yeah.
technological advances in a grocery store, let's say. But actually it's a whole chain or a whole channel of purchases. So I'm a vendor, so we manufacture a product and then we work with our distribution partners. So I have to be able to manage our distribution partners, make sure they understand not just what our products are, but how to sell them because they're
Hmm.
selling to the reseller partners. I'm also managing the reseller partner relationship to again make sure they understand our product and know how to sell it. And they're the ones, that reseller, that are selling to the end customer, like a Kroger or like a
Hmm.
hospital. So it's such an intricate, line. And a lot of the times with my role, I don't have much contact with that end customer, like the hospital, but I have to make sure that my partners in the distribution and the channel or the reseller partners have so much knowledge of our products that they just streamline the process. They're just
Yeah.
able to talk to their customers about what we have. So it's um it's definitely, that relationship part is so important because they have to know what questions to ask me. They have to know
Hmm.
that I'm here for them whenever they need me. So that communication piece is huge.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've just learned how intricate it is and how much goes into something that would seem really simple.
Yeah. I remember I work with youth a lot, and I did some time doing the junior achievement program for
Oh
fifth
yeah.
graders.
Hmm.
And one of the programs that they have was for them to understand just this.
Mm.
And we created with string basically a spider web. And it
Yeah.
was to understand what it takes to build a car.
Mm.
And there are so many parts coming from so many places around the world.
Yeah.
So now when she's talking about building relationships, it's not just with the people in Ohio or
Right.
or the US even. It's
Hmm.
really building those relationships across countries. So
Hmm.
now you have to understand culture and the processes of their, taxation, all those other things. So it's,
Hmm.
as you said, it's a very complex thing.
Hmm. It absolutely is. And, sometimes that can be really overwhelming, but if you just kind of take it piece by piece and focus on what you can control, then, that process works more seamlessly than you would think.
Yeah. And we talked earlier on about being yourself and being authentic. So, why is secure authentication important for business today?
Well, oh gosh, it is in every place we look, or if it's not, it should be. Just think about all of the news stories that you hear, and this is only the ones they're reporting about of companies getting hacked, small companies,
Yeah.
large companies, and that costs companies millions of dollars, not just in the hacking scenario themselves, but they've got to stop what they're doing for
Yeah.
the entire day. They've got to not do business that day. And so, with what RF Ideas does, is we make sure that our readers for secure authentication are a more secure way to get onto a workstation or clock in for the day or print something off at your printer to ensure that any of the data within that system is not accessed by someone who should not access it. So it's ensuring that the
Mhm.
correct person gains access to it. So really, I mean, you've probably seen our products in all kinds of different spaces, but you weren't aware of it because that's something that you don't really think about.
Yeah.
But you've probably seen it at your doctor's office. You've probably seen it in a retail environment. You've probably seen it at university, higher education. So we're pretty much everywhere, and it's because we need to be, because we
Hmm.
want to ensure that people's personal information and companies' data is secure.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also something that you always have to keep on top of because just
Mhm.
as much as you're getting these things out there, people are learning how to hack what you have. So,
Oh my
you,
gosh, yes, yes. That is how
yeah,
the tech industry is, right? Which keeps things interesting,
it
I
does.
would say, but definitely learning something new all the time. But yes, you have to be thinking a few steps ahead. And that's what, companies like RF Ideas does, is we think a few steps ahead before you have to. So,
Yeah.
that's very important, but definitely a good point because it's always changing. So,
And when we talk about the tech industry, this is, uh, my audience, I really promote for females and women out there to think about where they could be in their leadership. And tech has always been something that I think we was more male dominated. Tech really helped me get through many promotions before I got a degree. So, what are some challenges that women face in the tech industry, or also sales? But I think tech is really one of the places that we haven't really made as much progress as we could have.
Yeah, it is definitely male dominated still. You definitely see that. But what's nice is that you are seeing more and more women in the tech industry. And gradually we're getting to leadership roles. I think just like with any male dominated industry, just kind of how you talked in the beginning, it's slower progress than we would
Mm.
like in that. But we are having a voice in the tech industry. There's organizations out there that focus on women in tech. I'm part of one called Women of the Channel, and that one is, an advocate for women in the tech industry specifically. All of the different tech organizations also have kind of women focused subgroups and things. So you're definitely seeing more of a presence. And I was even at a conference earlier this year that is a yearly conference I go to for tech. And I saw we had a particular tech or a women kind of happy hour, and there were so many women there. It was like the room was packed. You could barely even move around. And one of the ladies who I've known for a while, and she's been in the industry for at least 20 years, she said, "This is amazing. When I first came here, there were maybe two women in this tech field or in this like, event. And now the room is filled." And was it a huge room? No, but at least there is growth.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see. And I think if we continue as women to support one another, whether it's the tech industry or others, and support each other's achievements, then we'll continue to go far. I think the progress is going to be there. It's just a little slower than maybe what we would like.
And, when you think of it in the aspect of channel management, really the perspective that a woman brings to the relationships, to the industry is very helpful, because now you're building products that both supply the needs of both male and female. Women buyers are a lot of times the decision makers.
Hmm.
But if you don't appeal to that mindset, you're not going to be as successful as you could be. So I think that's a huge reason why having more women in leadership in tech and channel management would help our industry for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about that different perspective. And we know as women that we come in with a different perspective. Our lives are obviously different than our male counterparts, and how we naturally are is different. And that's not a bad thing. That is an excellent thing. And
Yeah.
that is something that's needed no matter what industry that you're in, because you're going to bring that very unique perspective. And it's needed in the tech industry for sure, because, like you said, we're out there buying stuff in the industry, whether we realize it or not. We're noticing, vulnerabilities with secure
Hmm.
authentication, whether we realize it or not. And it's needed to have that different perspective that can only help organizations and individual businesses.
Very true. So, how are some ways that you have found, you mentioned you're a coach. What are some ways that you personally helped yourself to overcome imposter syndrome and have helped others? And we know people in high places, as well as the average Joe or Jane, have imposter syndrome. It just is natural. Every time we go to a next level, we push ourselves, we're going to feel less. So talk to us about
Right.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a prevalent thing, and I can't say that I've never I've struggled with it at every stage of my career, and I think that's just natural. We really all do, male, female, whomever you may be, but that's definitely something that I've had to work to overcome. And how I've done that is to really like continue to take a step back and assess, okay, why am I having these thoughts? really figure out, why am I thinking I'm not good at this. And one thing that I've done, and this actually has come from a colleague of mine, is create a wins folder. So anytime I have, like, I don't know, maybe a big deal that I've closed or something, some accomplishment that I've had, big or small, I will make a little wins folder to say, okay, here's some great things. So then when I have those moments where I'm thinking, I'm terrible at this, how did I get to this position? Or how am I, at this level? I will go
Yes.
back to my wins folder and realize, oh, okay, like I've
Mm.
accomplished this. This is why I'm here. And it just kind of helps remind me that this, made up story that I'm telling myself of why I shouldn't be here is not true.
Yeah. So how can when we look at the secure net authentication we talked about,
Mhm.
how do we identify, or what would steps be to identify how we might improve or utilize secure authentication in our business, whether it's small, medium, large, or a solopreneur?
Yeah, so the first thing you can look at is just thinking about, what are you currently doing to access your workstation? Usually workstation is the place that people start with. So how are you logging onto your workstation? Is it a password? Let's update from that password, because that password is not only, a hindrance to your workflow, because what about all those scenarios where, oh, I've forgotten my password, maybe this is like the 20th password that I've had to memorize here, and you've got to kind of disrupt your workflow to reset that password. Or if you're in a corporate setting, maybe you got to call IT and have them reset that password. So first thing to look at is what are you using to log into your workstation? And then upgrading to an RFID reader for secure authentication is really very simple. Essentially, it's plug and play. It just plugs into whatever, application that you're utilizing, and it makes it seamless to where you can just tap a card or even a mobile credential, like kind of sits on your wallet, that mobile card, and you log into your workstation. So that way, it's you're not having to worry about memorizing a bunch of passwords. You're not having to worry about, oh, someone out there can guess my password, because they don't have your phone. They don't have your card. So you've got something on you that is solely yours. And that makes it a lot more secure. So you're not going to have to worry about your information getting out there.
Yeah, I know I had that when I was working at UPS, but now computers like my laptop I have now, I turn it on using my fingerprint. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
so do you
That
want
that's
to
an
talk?
excellent way too. I mean, no one's got your fingerprint, right? So I mean, that is the perfect way to log in.
Awesome. So let's kind of scooch over to talking about channel management is really about building those relationships, building that network
Mhm.
of your go-to people kind of thing. So talk about how important having a network is to your career.
Oh my gosh, I could probably talk forever about networking. And again, as an introvert, I never would have thought, one, that I'd enjoy networking, and two, that I would be any good at it. And of course, I can always get better at it, but it is so important no matter what career you're in. And if you're an entrepreneur as well, that is extremely important. There's always different connections to make in different environments. But as a channel manager, it's really important because, one, you never know who your next customer might be.
No.
Maybe this person you're talking to right now is absolutely not your customer, but what if they need secure authentication 5 years down the line? Or what if they now have, I don't know, started a women's organization that they want you to be a part of as a female leader? So you never know where that's going to lead you. I know for me, all the different networking connections I've made have helped me grow my career and grow my customer relationship. So just like having a small thread of a connection, it doesn't have to be this long drawn out network
Yeah.
conversation. Just a little, hey, I'm Emily Jackson. Great to meet you. Here's what I do. If you ever need anything with secure authentication, let me know. Or maybe you're just getting to know someone on a personal level. You're not even talking business at all. That's a great networking connection as well because you're starting to build that relationship without even realizing it. So I
Mhm.
would definitely encourage, people to network on a professional and personal level because they can meld together. They can be, doesn't have to be one or the other. They can be both.
Yeah.
So
So true. As you were saying that, I remembered in 2011, I went to a Christmas party for my husband's
mm,
school. He
okay.
was a teacher, and I had been doing youth leadership. It's different locations, just community locations. And
Hmm.
one of the teachers there, as we were chatting just about, oh, what do you do? What do and just having a personal conversation, she said, I need you. And I was able to help her do a curriculum for a program that she was starting in her school
Hmm.
for kids that were working at their potential, but they needed to be better in communication and leadership. And now, all these years later, I've helped thousands of kids just from that one conversation.
Right. And
So you
isn't
never
that
know.
crazy?
You never
Yeah.
know.
You
Yeah.
don't. I mean, I even just like networking at I'll do some speaking engagements at colleges and I encourage the students, even just getting to know your fellow classmates. Yes, it may not seem like this is going to advance your career or whatever, but you don't know what they're going to be doing in 5 years, 10 years. You don't
Mhm.
know. So if you build that connection now, oh, I know, this person from college and I'm interested in working at this organization. Great. You've already got a connection there.
Mm.
So you never know, where it can
That's right.
lead. So it's important to just always be thinking about that.
Absolutely. And people are always watching you too. So
Yeah.
definitely you get surprised by, hey, somebody gave me your name. Referrals or recommendations
Mhm.
are always wonderful too. So, as you're doing channel management and somebody's pleased with what you've done, they talk to other people too. And then all of a sudden you gain a wider network. So definitely.
Absolutely. Yep. Word of mouth is still prevalent to this day. It doesn't have to be digital. It's word of mouth is
Yeah,
great for
that's
customers.
exactly right. Awesome. One final question. What's next for you?
Well, I have, I'll kind of talk at the end here a little bit. I am a career transition coach and speaker. Now, this is something that I'm relatively new to. I'm also an author. This year, I wrote my first book and got that published. And so I'm continuing to write and I'm continuing to build out my personal business and just really passionate about again empowering women. Any talking
Mhm.
things that I do, any speaking engagements is all around women in every career field and how you can really be your true self and step up to your next level in your career. So
Awesome. Well, if you out there say, oh my gosh, I just need to talk with Emily, see how she can help me in either networking, channel management, overcoming imposter syndrome, whatever it might be. So, as always, I do have a slide for you that you can, if you're watching, get a screenshot. If you're listening, everything is available on my YouTube channel, Vicky Netling. So, please do subscribe if you haven't, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com website in the show notes. All right. So, the websites are rfideas.com. That's rfideas.com. Or you can just go to her website, Emily Jackson, if you're interested in her coaching piece.
mhm.
On LinkedIn, she is at Emily Jackson a bunch of numbers. Just search Emily Jackson.
Yep.
You can find her there easily, especially it does call out about the RFIDs so that you know that's the right person. I'm going to turn it over to Emily. She'll talk about what you can find on those websites and what she puts out on LinkedIn that might be helpful to you. So, Emily, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Vicky. Yeah, so if you want to go to rfideas.com, it'll show all of our products, different use cases. So if you want to just learn more about how you could implement secure authentication in your personal or professional environment, that would be the place to go. There is a lot of information on there. So if you have questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me via my LinkedIn. On my LinkedIn, you'll find I post pretty often. It's about, my professional role, so a lot about the channel management. I'll also post about my newsletter that I put out bi-weekly that has leadership type information on there, and then just kind of what I'm up to. And I'll share, what I'm doing in the channel. So my different travels, I do travel a lot with my job, so you will find that on my LinkedIn as well. But definitely feel free to message me on there, add me, connect with me. As we talked about on this episode, I love networking, so I would love to network with you. So please take advantage of that. And then on my personal website, Emily Jackson, you'll find information about my book. You will find information about my newsletter, and then how to connect with me on setting or booking me for speaking engagements and also coaching.
Awesome. Emily, thank you so much for being a great guest. I loved our conversation today. You shared a lot of good information. We touched on several different aspects, but all of them really feed into being successful as a channel management. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Vicki.
As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Nettling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nettling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.